Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the teachings and writings of the guide Xuefeng, the founder of Lifechanyuan. We're going to unpack a really fascinating text of his called Build a Spiritual and Physical Homeland. And we're examining the whole shebang here, everything from its absolutely vast cosmology to these super specific instructions on how to actually live a meaningful life. It's this wild blend of grand cosmic spiritual visions mixed right in with some very practical directives for all of humanity.
Xuefeng kicks things off by pointing a finger directly at something we all feel at some point, our own profound sense of vulnerability. He asks this deeply resonant question: why can't we control the track of our own life? I mean, think about it. The source text highlights how human life is basically full of unpredictable misfortune, suffering, and this tangled web of interpersonal conflicts. Even with centuries of human progress, we still find ourselves totally anxious about sudden tragedies, right? We're kind of trapped in this ongoing survival competition. Xuefeng basically argues that humanity is fundamentally stuck in a miserable swirl, just trying to find a way out of the dark.
Now, to answer that deep sense of helplessness, the text introduces a super powerful, really hopeful metaphor. Xuefeng declares, "A ship full loaded with new life is sailing. A new era is coming." Wow! So instead of leaving us adrift in that terrifying sea of unpredictability, Lifechanyuan positions itself as this grand, epic voyage. It's literally an invitation to leave behind the chaotic, instinct-driven world we know and board a vessel headed straight toward an entirely new spiritual epic.
Okay, let's dive into this worldview across 5 clear steps. First, what is Lifechanyuan? Second, the 36-dimensional universe. Third, synthesizing science and spirituality. Fourth, great versus inferior souls. And finally, boarding the new ship.
Section 1. What is Lifechanyuan? The shipyard. Before we can board the ship, we really need to understand the shipyard itself.
According to the text, Lifechanyuan is defined as a mental and spiritual habitat. But honestly, the absolutely crucial term here is transfer station. Xuefeng is super explicit that Lifechanyuan is not the ultimate destination. No, it's meant to act as a temporary sanctuary. Think of it like a college, where ordinary, honest, and hardworking people can come to understand the true meaning of life before moving on to higher, supreme life spaces.
To make its identity crystal clear, the text aggressively defines what Lifechanyuan is not. It doesn't belong to any country or nation. It's not a religion, meaning it claims to have 0 special ceremonies or rigid rituals. It's not a company out there seeking profit, and it's definitely not a political party with an earthly constitution or political ambitions. By stripping away all these traditional worldly labels, Xuefeng is attempting to position his organization as something entirely unprecedented, completely unburdened by human history.
Section 2. The 36-dimensional universe, mapping reality. Let's move to and see how this builds into the grander universe.
36. That is the exact number of dimensional spaces in the universe according to the cosmology of Lifechanyuan. When you look at it through this lens, our earthly existence is described as being confined to a very, very limited, narrow little world compared to this vast, multidimensional reality.
The text categorizes these 36-dimensional spaces into 3 distinct tiers. You've got the supreme life space, the middle-level life space, and the low life space. Right now, humanity is caught down in the lower and middle tiers, basically just cycling through worldly suffering. The entire purpose of Lifechanyuan, as outlined by Xuefeng, is to escort individuals from our current, limited reality across a superspace road, guiding them directly toward those supreme life spaces.
Section 3. Synthesizing science and spirituality. The escape route. It's fascinating how Xuefeng views human history as this huge collaborative build-up to this new era.
And this brilliantly illustrates the uniquely inclusive yet heavily hierarchical view of history presented in the text. Xuefeng argues that in Step 1, spiritual sages like Jesus, Buddha, and actually even political theorists like Marx laid the groundwork by seeking peace and equality. Then, in Step 2, scientists and inventors, folks from Newton and Einstein to Bill Gates, provided the necessary practical and rational tools. Now, in Step 3, Lifechanyuan claims to synthesize all of this past wisdom into a new era. The text argues that previous religions and philosophies had historical limitations and simply can't guide modern humans anymore, making this grand synthesis the only way forward.
Section 4. Great versus inferior souls. A stark division. Now we shift our focus from all of human history right back to the individual.
The text posits this totally fascinating metaphysical origin story. It claims that millions of great souls were actually sent down from the supreme life space directly into the mortal world, specifically right around the time of the First World War. Their mission? Well, it isn't to enjoy earthly pleasures, but to decode the universe and literally save humanity. But, and this is a massive catch, the text warns these souls that if they undergo transmigration or reincarnation more than 3 times in the mortal world, they're going to lose their spiritual nature and permanently forget their way back home.
Xuefeng provides very strict criteria for spotting these souls in daily life. A great soul is defined entirely by selfless service. Whether you're a president, an educated person, or a wealthy individual, if you use your resources to benefit humanity unconditionally, you possess a great soul. On the flip side, an inferior soul is someone who uses their position, say a government official or a business person, solely to seek private benefits, chase worldly promotions, or just lead a befuddled, pleasure-seeking life. True greatness here is all about service, not status.
Now, what's really wild is the incredibly vivid, blunt analogy Xuefeng uses to justify why these souls absolutely must be separated. He writes, "Nobody wants to place the excrement of the toilet in the living room and place the good wines and dainty dishes in the toilet." I mean, talk about a clear image, right? Just as humans naturally separate waste from fine dining, he argues that the Creator must justly and strictly separate inferior souls into low life spaces and elevate great souls up to the supreme life spaces.
Section 5. Boarding the new ship, the final escape. Let's get back to that central metaphor of the ship and how you actually prepare for this journey. So, the crucial point is how this philosophy actually translates into your daily actions. The text lists super clear requirements to board this metaphorical ship. You must follow the Creator's laws. You must contribute your knowledge and talents entirely selflessly. You've got to stop fighting for status and wealth in the worldly confusion. And, maybe most importantly, you must transition from living purely on base instinct or emotion and start living governed by your higher spiritual nature.
If you can actually achieve that, the text offers this sweeping, incredibly euphoric promise. Xuefeng writes that for those who do get on the ship, Lifechanyuan will take you to an unimaginable, secret, boundless, wonderful place. It's presented as the ultimate escape from the misery of the mortal world, just a final release into an infinite and charming universe.
We've explored the shipyard, we've mapped out the 36 dimensions, and we've looked at the harsh dividing lines between great and inferior souls according to Xuefeng. Ultimately, this text demands some really intense self-evaluation. It forces you to look at your own life and ask, are you living purely on instinct, just chasing temporary worldly promotions? Or are you living by your spiritual nature? Based on the teachings of Lifechanyuan, where do your daily actions place you in the 36-dimensional universe, and are you ready to board the ship?